trying to figure out when I had to go to bed and when I had to wake up. So I knew when I was supposed to wake up, which most of us do, which was 6:30, I believe it was. Welcome to the Fueling Your Life podcast. This is the first episode, and here we will discuss topics in terms, or you can say with the perspective of improving your performance or how it will affect your performance. When we want to perform, we have to remember that we cannot go 100% all the time and just maxing out our output. It is very taxing for your body if it's both you're doing like in a physical sense in a sport, or if you're doing maybe in a work-related sense. Because we need these breaks to get down and recover. We cannot just keep going up and up. So we need these more like pauses or a bit longer pauses to recover and gain it's mainly our energy back. So it's giving the body a chance to relax and then get back in. And this not only go for the body itself, but it can also go for mentally, because when we really push ourselves to perform, it's also very much about mentally. And if we have a lot of mental things going on, it can also be hard to push. So you can say the benefit can be that if you have more pain, negative things, you can use it as energy fuel and push it into whatever you're doing. But for example, if you are, as all performers, we constantly want to improve, we want to train hard, we just go. So one thing for us is also the importance of socialization, as we are social animals, so we cannot just keep being alone, as it will start cropping up and make us really feel bad. So even though if you are an introvert or an extrovert, at some point we need to get the socialization, be social, talk to everyone to regain our energy, to regain our focus, to balance out our body and how we feel, to start pushing more. And that can also be good breaks. So if you are choosing social maybe events, just hanging out with some friends, you can use this period actually to where your body has the down period where you actually are able to relax. And it doesn't have to be going to a bar, going to a nightclub. You can just maybe play some board games with some friends. Doesn't require that much. You're just there chilling, hanging out. You can maybe go to some social events where you meet other people. And it can be people in your field. So if you can find maybe an event where there's other sports people, maybe other sport events, business event, networking, small networking events, small networking groups where you just come together and you just more or less hang out. So for example, I spend a lot of my time on performing in my work, and one thing I need to definitely work on is the social aspect, because it's creeping up, because you're alone for so much time, it's creeping up on you and starts kind of draining all your energy and performance. So for me, I really need that a few times, that I go out and social, and then I do it with like these networking events. So it's not actually that much about making business. It's more just you meet other people, you learn about, of course, their business, you talk about business, but it's not as intense, and it's not as I need to find one who can help me. And it might just be you get a few contacts, you learn about like what other people are doing and some new stuff, and it brings some new ideas in that you can both use, but they also have this more relaxing environment. So for the business related, it will, for me, it's more the smaller ones, where if you take to more these big like conferences, miss, so on, they're more like intense, where you kind of have to perform. You have to go out there, make deals, find people who you can make deals with. And where I see these more smaller groups that are participating, it's more you just meet people, you just talk, and kind of you just basically hang out with people you don't know, but who has the same mindset as you. So today we want to discuss 4 topics when it comes to recovery, which is sleep, breathing techniques, your diet, how that has influence, and also stretching. And that's more if you are like an athlete doing sports or so on. So for sleep, you have probably heard the phrase that you can sleep when you get old. And you cannot really sleep when you get old, because a lack of sleep both decrease your lifespan, and actually sleep has a big control over your life. It's not random and what you can say a mystery in some way that we are sleeping most of our life. Because sleep is actually very important, especially also when it comes to recovery. So if we start going into some of the benefits, then we can break into more why sleep is actually important, especially for performance. So sleep, it controls our mood, how we look, like with our face. You can try to notice people's faces. You can especially see it under the eyes, like they will have these bags where the skin's going out a bit. And you can probably see it a bit on me, because I went to bed at 1 a.m. last night and woke up at 6 today. It also controls your energy level, which makes sense that you want to recover, you want to regain all your energy. It also controls your brain function. We will dive into that a bit more, but it's basically your ability to think and remember things. And a lack of sleep will also make you fatigue very much quicker. So if you're doing some sport, you will feel way more, you will feel the fatigue way faster than if you got all your sleep. And it also controls our hunger level. So you will be more hungry when you lack of sleep, and it goes actually back to the energy level. Because when you lack sleep, your body sends a signals that we need more energy. And when it says we need more energy, it actually increases the hormone called leptin, which is one of the hunger hormone. But leptin is the one, when it spikes, it makes you feel more hungry, and then you will start searching for food. So when we are missing sleep, we will start feeling more hungry, and that will lead us to bad choices. So we go for, of course, candy, cake, soda. We want the sugar. We don't want the candy, cake, and soda. We want the sugar that is in it, because that is what gives us energy. Because sugar is basically the primary resource for our body, our brain, as an energy source. And all this is basically giving us our overall performance. So going back to the brain function, during our sleep, we have 5 cycles of REM sleep. So during REM sleep, that's where we are sorting, or we say, memories from the day in a short-term memory and long-term memory. And in that way, we're moving around all the things we can remember. And if we're missing sleep, then this REM sleep part, it will be interrupted. The same is also if you drink alcohol, and why you cannot remember the following day is because alcohol is actually blocking your REM sleep. So you will not have this process. So we want to know, okay, so how do we control our sleep? How do we fix our sleep? How do we get a good sleep schedule? Because even though some days we might get less sleep, for example, I did, because of course sometimes you want to maybe go out, you have maybe a very late night or some event where it's just all night. That can happen. Like, we cannot live in a perfect fixed frame of sleep. I go to bed at this time and I wake up at this time constantly. But that is what we want to do most of the time. So we have an internal clock called the circadian rhythm, which basically controls our sleep. And it's a bit different for each of us when it is. So some of us are more like night owls. So we will actually, it's better for us to go to bed at maybe midnight at 1, where some of us, maybe like myself, we want to go to bed a bit earlier. So, and then you also wake up earlier. And for me, I like waking up early. That's work for me. And so my schedule is basically from 9 to 6. So I try to get 9 hours of sleep. And you have to also remember, sometimes it can vary. Sometimes you just need less sleep. Sometimes you need more sleep. It can shift throughout the year. But to tell you a story on how I figure my time out. So I spent a lot of time on self-improvement back in high school, and I came across this video to fix my sleep and what is sleep actually doing for you. And I was dealing with some things. I was very tired, and sometimes I would wake up and basically just feel bad, and I had to sleep to feel better. So I saw this video and I started trying to figure out when I had to go to bed and when I had to wake up. So I knew when I was supposed to wake up, which most of us do, which was 6:30, I believe it was. And I knew from staying up in the weekends, I usually went to bed at 12, so at midnight, and then I will wake up between 8:30 to 9. So I knew somewhere between I needed 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep. So then I just calculated from 6:30 a.m. in the morning all the way back. So I will go to bed at, or was it 10 or something like that. And then I started doing it like over a short period and I felt more energy. So it will usually take 1 to 2 weeks for you to see the adjustment, most likely 2 weeks. And I start feeling like the more consistency. It started being better. I have more energy when I woke up, got out into my day. And this also released a snowball effect, because then you have to prepare other things so you both can hit that time, so you feel tired at that time, but also you can you have the energy throughout the day. So you have to fix a few things. So for example, I completely just quit candy and soda. I never really been a fan of it, but I just quit it because I couldn't fall asleep within it. If I ate it or drink it within an hour before bedtime, then I couldn't fall asleep. And also just playing, for example, Counter-Strike, I had to give myself 30 minutes to kind of calm down all the adrenaline. But yeah, then when you have done that, you will slowly start to figure out your sleep schedule. So maybe for you to do it, is that you already know your time you wake up. So you want to figure out, okay, how much sleep do you actually need? And when we are sleep deprived, we also think that we don't need that much sleep. This is kind of the tricky part of sleep deprived. So we will all need somewhere between, most of us, somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So the best thing will probably just be you check your current time you wake up, and then you go 8 hours backwards, and then try to do that consistently for 2 weeks or so. And then you can kind of see, okay, do you wake up and still feel tired, or do you wake up and you have too much energy, you can't fall asleep in the next evening? Because if you still too tired, then you most likely need to add some more time. So just start, maybe increase it with 30 minutes at a time. If you have a hard time fall asleep, you want to do the opposite and decrease your time with 30 minutes. And sometimes it actually can be all the way down to like a few minutes. And it also depends on when you actually are going to bed. So it can be you have to go to bed very late at night, and then you wake up very early. But it can be hard if you are in a job, you have to meet at a certain time, you have to bring kids to school, you have practice at a certain time, so it can be hard to fit that in. So what can we do to improve our sleep, the sleep quality? So there are certain things that will set us up for sleep. So the way we set up our morning is preparing things at night or in the evening. The way we set us up for a good night of sleep is actually in the morning. So right away when we wake up, if possible, you want to exercise and you want direct sunlight right away. So it can be hard depending on where you live and how your life is, but you just want to get that sunlight exposure for 5 to 10 minutes. Because the space that will set your inner clock, your circadian rhythm for the night. So because our body is actually following the sun, so it's following the sunrise and when the sun goes down, and that's basically our circadian rhythm that follows that cycle. So the whole construct of time is actually its main rate. The only time our body knows is the relation between sunrise and the sun goes down. So another thing is, when you wake up, you want to avoid the screen, preferably an hour. Start with maybe 5-10 minutes, just to make it easy before you go to bed. You also want to avoid the screen, preferably an hour before. But again, start with 5 to 10 minutes, because you don't want the blue light into your eyes that is signaling to your body that it's daytime, so we should be awake. Also something as eating 3 hours before you're going to bed. You don't want to do that because you don't want your stomach to digest food, so it will interrupt your sleep a little bit. It's not perfect every time. I don't certainly do it perfectly every time, but that's something you want to be aware of. Also, the same as you don't want to drink anything 2 hours before bedtime. So this will help you to, of course, get out all the liquid, or we can say a surplus of liquid that you will end up peeing out of your system before you go to bed, so you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. So breathing techniques. So I brought these breathing techniques more into here recovery part. So there are some things you can do during the day. So if you find yourself having a dip in energy, you lack in focus, it's a bit hard to keep going, then as a good practice for high performance is constantly you do a lot of small breaks, and then you work, small break, work, small break, you work. And it is also a great way to recover if you are especially lacking sleep throughout, which you can do throughout the day. It's very short, it's very quick, and it's kind of help you bring your brain states down into more like a relaxing and sleep, and then you bring it back up. So what you can do as a breath work is it takes 5 minutes, so you can just put a timer. 5 minutes, you breathe in and breathe out through your nose, where it has to be 4 seconds each way. You close your eyes, you just focus on your breath, and that will kind of help you slow down. It's also good to manage your emotions, because when we get angry, when we get very heavy, when we get excited, the only thing that changes is our breath. So our breath can change how we feel in the states. It can be good if you're going to have an important match, if you are going to have an important meeting, you have to do a presentation, or anything else. It can also be good to do it in between the workouts, where you of course have shorter rest time, but if you really have like trained this breath work, you can really like get your body to relax, and then you go into the next second with more energy. So to demonstrate how you will do it is that you will close your eyes, and then you inhale through your nose, and exhale for 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Yeah. So if you did the short breath with me, you can start feeling that you're relaxing more, you become more calm. And if you do that for 5 minutes, you will start slow down your brainwave and get into like this. It's not a sleep. You're not going to sleep unless you're very tired. It can happen, but you will kind of you will be in the stage where you are just out of sleep, so you're about to fall asleep, but you just stay in the stage just before sleep, and then you can bring yourself back, and it will kind of recover all your energy. Yeah. So, what we eat, our diet. So, let's say if you have fixed your sleep schedule, you want you then want to make sure you eat properly, or if you are lacking sleep, that you eat properly. So, one great energy source is fruit because it has fructose, and fructose has a better like energy curve, so it will of course spike your energy up, but it will flatten more out, so you don't have these like very hard dips as you will have with candy and high, yeah, we want to say food with high sugar in it. So they kind of balance it more out. So for me, I need to eat 2 bananas that what I eat after my workout in the morning. It makes sure I get all the energy back, because if I don't get a banana after my workout, then I kind of crash in energy. If you're doing any sport, it also that you get your vitamins, that you get your proper nutrition. It's very important to recover your muscles, as it helps the transportation of the waste product from doing a half workout. So it helps you be more or be less sore in your muscle. And I really can speak to that, because I usually I eat very healthy. I would say 80-90% of what I eat is just vegetables, meat, and fruit. And if I can go into the gym, I can cross myself really hard, but if I keep eating healthy, I'm not that sore. But if I eat crap, then I can really feel the soreness. And you can kind of say that your body is more or less a fabric. So in a fabric, you have all these specializations. And you can compare that to vitamins and minerals. And if you're missing one vitamin, one minerals, you will create a dysfunction in the fabric. The product you produce will not have the same quality, and that product is, of course, how you recover your immune system and all the function you have in your body, like how do your liver function and all that, and also just your brain. And this explanation I got from a doctor called Dr. Chatterjee, and it's really like speaks well to how your body needs vitamins and minerals. And when we look at the research for recovery for nutrition, is of course after a workout you need your protein, because you break down your muscle tissue. So you want protein to build up, or to rebuild the muscles and repair them. Also, you want to consume something that can be translated into glucose, where I eat bananas and fructose, as for me is better. It gives more like the flat curve, but more energy throughout the day. Because in our muscle we store glucose, so we can make these explosive movements and really explode. So we want to fill up all these areas in our body. If you're going the supplement route, then you can of course get these carbohydrates capsule, you can get some protein powder. So for most of us, we can most likely get our protein through our diet. It all depends on, of course, what you're doing. You should get you try to get as much of all your nutrients through your food that you eat. And then supplements can just help you to tip over the barrel, so you get into the amount you actually need. It shouldn't be, a supplement shouldn't be everything that you need. But for most of us, protein should be we should be able to get. Because most of us, if you don't work out, you most likely just need 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. And then from there, if you work out, you have to get more. But basically, let's say I'm around 82 kilos, so that will be 82 grams of protein. And that will be the equivalent of 400 grams of chicken throughout the day. And it's like I eat 3 meals, so you can more or less see you have maybe one meal 30 grams, another meal 30 grams, and then you have 20 grams in the last meal, something like that. But if you want to go the supplement route, there's not been that much research on most of the supplements, but the supplement that is the most recommended one, and also because it's the most researched one, is creatine monohydrates. And when you look for creatine monohydrate, make sure that it is a single ingredient that's in it, just so you get some good quality. But what it actually does, it actually helps you recover. It helps with muscle growth, building muscle. It helps with your cognitive function, and I also believe it helps with your bones. Don't put me up on that. Research your own. I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. But it has a ton of benefits. But recovery, cognitive function, and the muscle growth is the main ones. And also for us who want performance, we want the recovery, we want the cognitive function, and we want the muscle growth. If we are athletes, we want to rebuild our muscles properly. So the last part, which is stretching, and that is mainly if you are an athlete or doing some level of sport, because we want to stretch our muscles. Because when we work out, so this might be the muscle in stretch position when it's fully out, but then when we train it, it is actually cramping down like this and tighten, so it starts tightening up. So when we stretch, we will be able to, what we're actually doing is we are releasing the muscle out to getting full normal, what would I say, not position, but you get it like stretched out, so it gets back to normal, and you get your mobility, full range of motion, and flexibility back in the muscle. And that part will also help you recover in terms of your waste management. You will be able to release toxins and waste from your muscle. So it's also very important that you drink a lot of water, as all the waste will go to the water and get out through the water. So depending on how sore you are or how hard you have worked, you want to both combine more like a dynamic stretching, where you're actually not standing still, but you move, you stretch, you move, you maybe jog a little bit. Because a lot of the time, if you're really sore, you actually have to work out again the same muscles, which sounds kind of stupid, but you have to work them out again, but with very low intensity, and you have to stretch, you have to work them out, stretch for a couple of times, so it becomes way more dynamic. You add in the movement again, and you get the muscle moving to loosen it up. So that was everything I have for this episode of recovery. Recover sleep, breathing techniques, how your diet influence your recovery, and how you can use stretching if you're doing sports. This was first episode 8. Stay tuned for the next episode. I think I'm gonna release I'm not sure when I will release the episodes. We figured that out. Stay tuned. Take care. Coach Jesper. We out. Peace.